I think it is now set up. And hi, everyone. This is our next workshop here on Dawn Foundation's YouTube channel or here on Zoom. Those of you who are on Zoom with us are coming from our Nest program. So if you would like to join us through Zoom next time, make sure to apply for the Nest on the Builders portal. And yeah, this is our weekly kind of series of workshops that we host on a weekly basis with different experts, with our friends and partners. And yeah, Nest is a place where we also support early stage builders and founders who are building on Ton. And yeah, please, once again, make sure to apply for different opportunities that we provide on our builders portal, builders.ton.org. And after that, you will get into it. And yeah, I think I will need just a moment to check if we have anyone in the waiting room and admit all those people and check if we have everything set up on YouTube. And yeah, just to tell you about our today's format, we will be having a workshop kind of webinar. And those of you who are watching this on YouTube, please make sure to leave your questions in the live chat. Those of you who are on Zoom, you can also use the chat on Zoom. And if you are willing to make some kind of suggestion, comment, or bring your case, you can just raise your hand and unmute yourself by the end of this session and ask any question with your voice. And I think we are now set up. This session is being recorded, and that recording will stay on our YouTube channel. And without further ado, I'd like to invite Andrei Fedorov. Hello, Andrei.
Hey guys.
Yeah, first of all, many thanks for your time, many thanks for your willingness, and many thanks to StoneFi team for being such an active experts for different programs at Nest, at Hubs, and yeah, really happy to have you on our stage. And yeah, before we start, just would like to ask you to say a couple of words about yourself, about your background.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me and for this opportunity to talk about marketing. So yes, my name is Andrei. I'm Chief Marketing Officer and Chief Business Development Officer at StoneFi. StoneFi is the largest swap application and swap protocol on the Ton blockchain. So basically, if you need to swap a token, you can go to StoneFi and find any token over there. Or if you want to implement swaps in your applications, you can use our protocols, our SDKs, our APIs, and so on to enable swaps in your applications. Speaking about me, basically I'm a marketer. I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years, I think, mostly in tech. Started professionally working for blockchain projects and marketing blockchain projects, I think in 2017. So I remember the ICO era and so on. So kind of cool times. But yeah, I've built a number of my own products, sold some of them. But mostly I identify myself as a marketer and as entrepreneur because, well, I love to build my own products, and StoneFi is one of the products I'm working on. So I have a presentation today, so I'll share my.
Yeah, amazing. That sounds really impressive. And I also find that really impressive in terms of the topic of our today's session, which sounds like beyond memes and airdrops, driving real Web3 growth. I think that is exactly what all the founders need. And yeah, by the way, with the beauty of your English and your accent and pronunciation, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, I think we can now see the screen. And yeah, we are good to start. Please, the stage is yours.
Awesome, thank you. Is everything set so you can see the presentation, like the which says beyond memes and airdrops?
Yeah, it's in
Okay,
full screen
awesome.
mode.
Awesome. So as you see in this on this slide, I'll be talking about marketing channels that we use at StoneFi. It says that these are real Web3 channels, but the funny thing is that basically we are using lots of, I would say, traditional Web2 channels, but we adapt them or adapt our usage of these channels to DeFi, Web3, blockchain, crypto, and so on. So the challenge, the biggest challenge over here is that Web2 usually starts with ads, and it doesn't work for Web3. So imagine you build a new product and you want to promote it. How do you do that in a traditional way? Usually you start with the ads because it is scalable, it's easy, and so on. So when you have an idea, you can just build a landing page, or you build a product and then you just need some traffic because you want to understand how users interact with the product, if they like it, if they don't like it, if they need it, and so on. So quite often in Web2, we start with the ads, but in the Web3 it doesn't work because traditional Web2 advertising platforms like Facebook and so on, they just don't like Web3, right? So quite often for most projects, it's impossible to launch ads over there, meaning that we can't use the main channel. So we need to use some other channels. And in our case, and our solution is to use different channels, use actually a lot of them. And first, focus on adoption. So that's why we're saying that we're not focusing on memes or airdrops or anything that we think is short term. So we need to focus on long-term things, and adoption is the long-term thing. Then we need to use, and that's what we're doing. We use Web3 channels. I mean, like native Web3 channels. Of course, since we're speaking about Tone right now, it's Telegram, there are wallets, and there are some other channels which we can call native Web3 channels. I'll talk about that later. Then, of course, since we can't use ads, it means that we need to use content. So we need to produce lots of content, and this content should educate our users, it should onboard our users, and of course, it should be tailored to their needs. We have to start with the community. Again, we don't have ads, but we want to have users. We want to have loyal users that like our product, that promote it among their communities and so on. So we need to have this community, but it's not about just social media. It's about, I would say, bringing it used to be called glocal, which means think global but act local. So you want to create a global community, but you need to have a local approach. I'll talk about that later as well. Then we are continuously onboarding and educating our users, because the thing is, and especially for the Tone blockchain, is that lots of them, they are novices. So they are not that tech savvy, not that crypto savvy, and so on, which means that we need to educate them. And then we amplify all these efforts with public relations and events. So I would say that all these channels, they work in combination. So we do all this stuff, but then we amplify that with more traditional channels and mechanics like public relations and events. But of course, it works in both ways, meaning that public relations and events, they also amplify all other efforts. So over here is just like the structure of my presentation. I'll skip it because I'll show all the points later. But yeah, why I think that it works? Well, because we have traction. So you can see these numbers. It says that we are pretty successful. So you can see that the figures are impressive, especially for the Tone blockchain. And that's why we think that this approach actually works. Okay, let's start with the community and social media. We have lots of followers, so about 4 million across all the major platforms. And of course, when you use different platforms, you need to adapt your messages, your tone, and your format to these platforms. We use Telegram, of course, is one of the most important for us, but of course we use Discord, Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, and so on. Some of them are small in our case, but not because they are not that important. They are important, but of course we have our own priorities. We have our own, I would say, resource limitations, and we have to choose. But of course we have to use, and we are using, and you should use all the possible social media platforms, but adapt your messages and all the other stuff adapted to these channels. Then again, think global, act local. So it is good to have local chats. It's good to have regional ambassadors that create local online communities and promote your product. And of course, it may happen in different channels as well. And we shouldn't think about community as just an audience, because it's not like one-way direction. So we shouldn't think that, okay, we have an audience, now we have a target audience, now we need to communicate something to them. It doesn't work like this. We should think of them as our growth engine or a growth lever that we need to use, and it works in both ways. So we communicate to them, and they communicate to us, and we collect feedback from them, and we then provide feedback to them. And in this case, we are able to create loyal community which loves us and which uses our product and which promotes our product among their friends, among their local communities, and so on. Yeah, I have forgotten to say that, but I'll try to give at least one insight on each slide, like what we are doing and probably you should be doing if you choose this approach. Then speaking about content and SEO and GEO. GEO, by the way, stands for Generative Engine Optimization. So it's all about LLMs, AI, and so on. It's a new term, and you need to get yourself familiar with that because, of course, it's the future. We know that lots of traffic, it goes from search engines to LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. And of course, you have to use that. In our case, in order to do that, first of all, we publish lots of content across different platforms. We have our own blog, and we also publish our articles and some other different pieces at different platforms. We have regular audits, and you should do that. So if you think that you can just launch a blog, write something, and then forget about it, it won't work. You have to have regular audits in terms of content and in terms of all the technical stuff, because there are different aspects. You need to regularly update them because search engines and LLMs now, they like it. So when you have good articles, please don't think that, okay, this article is just working, I can forget about it. No, you shouldn't. You should regularly update that. And I'm showing some screenshots. So let's say if you go to ChatGPT and ask what is the best DEX on the Ton blockchain, it answers StoneFi and so on. You can see that over here. Also, I'm showing you the example of Athena and Ton request search query. And the thing is that it was a very a fresh project. So they launched recently on Ton, and you can see that over here on this screenshot, we are on the 3rd position. Of course, it varies. I mean, for different people in different regions, the positions could be different, but we check that using different browsers and so on for different people. Of course, we use private, or how do you say that, incognito mode or something like that, because browsers have memory. By the way, LLMs, when you use ChatGPT, they also have memories. So you need to test that using private mode. But you can see that it works. We are on the 3rd position right after all the official resources. So it's a success for us. Then special projects. And when I say special projects, I mean that we can have different promotional campaigns that can have different shapes and form. So they can look like a game or a useful tool. You can see over here impermanent loss calculator, which is a tool that we use, and our users can use it to estimate the impermanent loss, which might happen on swap applications on AMM pools. Then we have some onboarding boards. We have educational resources. A couple of them are blurred because they are being developed right now, but I wanted to show them. And also the last one, which you can check by the link, it's one of the examples how you can use advertise recruiter projects, because they won't allow you to do that. But it is possible to create some kind of an educational asset like this one. So it's, I would say, gamified / educational / promotion content, something like that, but it doesn't promote our product directly. Quite often, these platforms, they allow such projects to be advertised. So you can do something like that, but then you link your product. It might work. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you should try that. And the thing is that we also don't consider these special projects to be just promotional projects. So they have different purposes. They could be tools, they could be games, they could be really some promotion campaigns, or they could be educational assets. So please launch different types of such projects, different types of such assets, and use them wisely when you promote a product. At least that's what we are doing, and it works in our case. Then education. Well, first of all, again, of course, we need to educate our users because lots of them, they're not that crypto savvy. And second, sometimes they even know how to use our product, but we want to turn users into power users, which means that we need to provide better educational assets. We need to provide guides. We need to provide some interactive experiences and so on. So basically, these campaigns and these assets, they combine promotion, education, and onboarding. It is good because it reduces barriers. I mean, this approach reduces barriers, and also it provides guides and it provides interactive experience, meaning that a user can read something, then a user can go online and basically try it. And we provide onboarding board like I'm showing over here. So it's a board we have in Telegram that users can use to check our product and to interact with our product. The next thing is onboarding campaigns. Again, it is something similar, like combining promotion, education, and onboarding. But quite often such campaigns, they look like promotional campaigns. Let's say we have some kind of a competition or a contest or a raffle, something like that. But we integrate interactive experiences, meaning that we say, okay, so we have a competition. During this competition, you need to do this. Let's say you should go to our application and make a swap. Oh, you don't know how to make a swap. Not a problem. We have a guide. Here's the link. Have you read that? Okay, now you can go to our board and just try it. Or you can go to our application and try it. Then you can check in our board if it was successful or not. So it means that we provide this interactive experience, which is very good for the users because they like it. Then there are some rewards, and they like these rewards. But again, we also provide all the educational assets, all the guides, all the interactive experiences, and they can basically interact with our product. So I would say it is some kind of learning through experience, something like that. And so, which means that these are not just promotions. These are levers that you can use to make your users familiar with your product. Brand ambassadors, it's one of the most important campaigns that we have. Maybe campaign is not the right word for that, but initiatives. Okay, so it's an initiative. We have lots of regional ambassadors or advocates, those who promote our product, those who basically tell their friends about it. They produce lots of content, videos, guidelines, articles, blog posts, posts on Telegram and other socials. They shoot videos, they produce merch, they hold events in their locations, and so on. So these guys, they do an amazing job. They do lots of different stuff. They do that quite often in local languages because, of course, definitely we can't use all the languages, right? So we are mostly communicating in English, but these guys, they can do that, let's say in German or in Polish and some other languages we have in the African community, like different parts of the world. And well, first of all, it is very valuable for us because it provides promotion. Also, they provide local support, meaning that they can have a local community, then they have questions, and the members of their local communities, they can ask them questions, and these guys would answer, which is very good because they basically support it. And it also creates this trust. It is very important because, you know, it is easier to trust somebody who is closer to you, and these guys are closer to that guys. So, you know, it creates this trust, it creates awareness, and it helps with supporting our users. By the way, if you want to join this initiative, please do, because you can see the link over here, because it is structured in a way that there are no applications, meaning that you don't need to, you know, apply to be an ambassador. You can just create something, create content, something like that, and then just send an application, send the links. And if our team believes that this content is good, is valuable, it is nicely done, and so on, then we provide rewards. So please do that if you see fit. Then one of the last, but it's not the least, I mean, it's one of the most important things that we have, because it amplifies all the other efforts. It's media relations, public relations, and events. Well, first of all, start with the strategy, because, well, I see lots of projects that think that, okay, we need to do that because everybody does that. Okay, we need to have a PR function in our company. Let's launch it. Or we need to go to different events across the globe. Let's do that. It doesn't work like this. Well, it works, but it's not efficient and not effective. So start with the strategy first. Define why you need to do that. What are your goals? How you approach these events and these relations. And let's say when you go to the events, then you choose, are we going to have a booth, or are we just visiting? If we are just visiting, what are the goals? Should we set some, like schedule some meetings in advance and so on? All these should be in advance. And when you have this strategy, then it's much easier for you to understand where to go and what to skip. That's how we are doing that, and it works fine. Not fine, actually. It works very well. We do lots of we have lots of events. We host meetups. We host side events. We have regular AMAs online. We visit conferences. So we do lots of stuff. But all this stuff, it is strategically planned. So we have a strategy and we have a tactical plan, where to go, who is going, what are our goals, and so on. So you should start with that. And of course, the last point says that all these initiatives, they do not replace all the other channels, because I know that there are projects that think, okay, so we are here short term. We want to have lots of, let's say, publications and media about our product or our project. Then we have these publications, we shill something, you know, shill our token, not we, but they think so. Shill our product, or maybe sometimes they don't even have a product, so just, you know, promote the name. Since we're here for the long term, we don't do it like this. So we have we have to have all other initiative channels and so on. And then we amplify all the other stuff with media relations and events, and vice versa, by the way, because if you go to, let's say, some media outlet and you want them to publish an article about you, but you're not credible enough, meaning that quite often they don't know you and they won't publish anything, right? Because they will tell you, we don't know you, who are you? So in this case, you need to have this online visibility, online coverage, which is created by all these other initiatives. You have to have a nice website. You have to have lots of mentions in different media outlets about you. But okay, not media outlets, because we're talking about that. But first, you have to have, like, you know, let's say some simple stuff. You mentions on social media, let's say. Then they see that you have something published on Reddit or Twitter, and these were other guys who published it. Because if you are the only who is publishing or posting, for them it means that okay, you're doing this, but nobody knows you. It means that probably we shouldn't invite you. And in this case, when you have all this visibility and coverage created not just by you, but some other guys as well, you have this high credibility, and in this case, they will be eager to talk to you. So that's what you should be doing, and that's what we are doing. And okay, so it's the last slide of my presentation because I was hoping for the questions. Key takeaways are these: use native Web3 channels. So you should go where your audience is. It sounds obvious, I know, but most of this stuff sounds obvious. But for some reason, lots of projects that I see, they don't do it this way. So, sounds obvious, but for some reason they're doing it differently. So please do pay attention to that. Okay, native channels, go where your audience lives and talk to them in the language which is appropriate in these channels. Produce lots of content and spread and distribute this content all over internet. This content should be of different types. It should educate, it should onboard your users, it should just say something about your product and so on. So these should be different formats. Please do that. Community is one of the most important things, but please do not think of your community as just your audience, because in marketing we overuse this term, target audience. In this case, well, okay, technically it's target audience, but in terms of working with them, it's your community. You want to have that. You want them to love you. So, and when you put it in these words, it's not an audience, right? It is something more important, something bigger. And you need to think about that in these terms. Experiences. So again, it's not about just communicating something to your users. It is about providing them with the best experience ever in terms of the product and in terms of all your marketing assets. And by marketing assets, I mean your content, your guides, your documentation, your interactive assets like boards and so on, all the onboarding tools, like everything. So which means that we need to continuously onboard our users. We shouldn't think that, they know how to use our product and our product is so good that you don't need any guidelines, you don't need any tutorials. It doesn't work like this. You always need them, even in the case when your product is very good. We have very good product in terms of UX and UI, but we are still producing lots of guidelines and interactive materials so that novices, like new users and so on, they can get familiar with our product and they know how to use it. And then once you have it, you amplify that with high-level strategic efforts like media relations, public relations, and event management. So I think that's it, guys. Good. It was half an hour. I was hoping for some questions, and if you have them, please ask.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrei. That was really sharp and well structured. I really liked the way you deliver information, deliver knowledge. And yeah, it's time for questions. So if you guys have any questions, please raise your hands here on Zoom or leave your questions in the chats wherever you're watching this. And I think I will go with the first question myself. And yeah, the interesting thing is the thing which is interesting to me is about the conferences and getting booth on a conference. So you told during your presentation that you have a certain goal for every activity that you host, and how do you measure the success of your conference participation with a booth or with any kind of other partnership kind of thing? And what is your main goal when joining such activities?
Okay, it's a very good question. And I don't have a simple answer to that. So when we're thinking about effectiveness, we can divide this into two parts. So the first part is like, can we have some uh, numbers or KPIs or something like that, right? The problem and is the first part. And the second part, is it possible to go without any KPIs at all? So the thing is that quite often for these efforts, you just can't measure them very, I would say, effectively or something like that. Because now, like the whole marketing around us is multi-touch marketing, which means that there are complex attribution models. And in order to get a user, you need to have multiple contacts with this user. So for the events, of course, we have some goals in terms of like, partnerships or something like that. We can't say that, okay, if I go to this conference, we'll get a partner. It doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. But of course, if we go there, we need to estimate and we need to measure how many contacts we had, whom we talked to, and so on. So that's the first part in terms of the events. The second part, which is not that easy, is just, understand that in the modern world, it is very difficult to measure these numbers. 10 years ago, there was such a term as performance marketing. So you just, launch an ad, then you have all the UTMs and so on, and you can measure everything. Now it doesn't work like this, even online. And when we're speaking about offline stuff, like let's say events, things are getting even more complicated. So for the second part, it is just about your understanding that you're doing things right. And when you do that, you can see that the perception of your team and of your product changes. Because, okay, you had a first event, nobody knows you, and media doesn't know you. Then you go to a different event, and then they say, okay, we know you, we've seen you. And then it may happen that media outlets, they want to talk to you because they've seen you, right? So it is not that measurable. That's the problem. But that's what I see, at least with our product and with our company. So I see that first it was harder to talk to them. And now it's easier to talk to them because we had all these efforts, including events. So sorry that I don't have a simple answer to that because it's a very good question, but the answer is complicated. To wrap it up, the first part, have some KPIs, but don't think that just the KPIs work. The second part, just I would say monitor how perception of your team, of your product, of your project, of your company changes with time. Hope it answers.
Yeah, yeah, that has become a little bit clear at least. And yeah, you've been explaining through your presentation all of the activities, and I mean, structured all the different activities that Stonefy, let's say, practices. And yeah, when we speak about early stage projects, those projects who just recently got their products ready to onboard users, who just started to implement the monetization and going to market kind of things, what marketing kind of activities do you think would be mostly actionable for this kind of early stage teams?
Yeah, good question again. So I have forgotten to say that, of course, like, uh, first of all, these are not all the channels that we are using because we have more, but Some of them are in stealth mode, some, just probably not that important to talk about and so on. But of course, in the beginning, we didn't have all this, right? Because we didn't have enough resources. We didn't have like a huge team. Basically, the team was small. We had four people in the beginning. And you have to start with something. And definitely the answer is start building your community first. Because first of all, it is free of charge, right? You can launch your Telegram channel and Telegram group like for free. You can launch, probably in the beginning, you don't need all the social media, just choose one or two, the most appropriate in your case, and just start writing about your product, what you're building, and so on. And by the way, I understand that it may sound like, okay, guys, so you're a big project now. You have all these channels, but we can't afford that, right? So does it mean that we are not able to do anything? No, that's not true. You can start with the community first. And by the way, small projects or smaller projects, they have, I would say, like an advantage over here, because users, they like small projects because they are closer to them, meaning that, let's say, um, in a big project they have the whole team, like a social media team or a community management team or something like that. But when we're speaking about small projects, quite often a founder communicates with the users, right? So a founder launches, let's say, a Telegram channel or a group. A founder posts something. A founder talks to the users, and they like it. And that's what we've seen basically. When, like in the beginning, community is always more loyal than later. So for smaller projects, start with that, and basically you have advantage over us over here.
All right. And speaking about StoneFi, what kind of audience does StoneFi target, let's say? I know you mentioned that this word is being overused, but still, is it about normies? Is it about some kind of experienced users? Or, I mean, explaining DeFi things is a bit difficult, probably. I might just assume that marketing DeFi products is much harder than marketing GameFi kind of things. And yeah, what kind of audience do you work with?
Um, Lots of different segments. So you know that according to like marketing theory and all this stuff, you need to divide your audience, target audience into segments. That's what we're doing, because we have several products, because we have a consumer product, which is our app. We have a set of protocols. We have an SDK. We have APIs and so on. So obviously, the target audience is different for that product, because the first one is business to consumer, the second one is business to business. Then you're right that we can divide even business to consumer into different segments, because we have, like I would say, experienced users, and we have novices. They don't know how to use it, which means that, but we want both. Actually, we have more segments, but we want all of them, which means that you need to adapt your messages and adapt your marketing assets to the needs of a specific segment. In our case, like we have lots of these segments, so I can't say if we are targeting, just new users who are just coming to crypto. That's not true. Of course, we are working with them, but we are also working with experienced users. We're also working with businesses that use our product, and by design, by default, they are more experienced. And they have different needs, of course. And sometimes some people even ask, what is your, I would say, geo targeting? Like, do you choose any countries and so on? And the answer is, because it's a different criteria how you can segment your user base. And in our case, we don't segment it like this, because we're working worldwide, and actually we have users from every country in the world. Like Google Analytics says that we have visitors from 205 countries. well, some may say that there are countries and territories. Okay. So we have a user in every country in this world. Um, but yes, again, speaking about answering your question, we work with different segments. It is quite impossible to list all of them right now, but you should segment your audience. Choose, there is a technique called, I think it's called pizza technique or something like that. So imagine that your market is a pizza, but the pizza is it is too big. You need to slice it. So you slice it into segments, and then you say, okay, this segment is the most important right now. I will focus on it. But then, okay, you think, okay, I'm working with this segment already, and I'm successful with them. Then I need to go to another segment, which doesn't mean that you abandon the first one. So you continue working with the first segment, then you start working with the second one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one, and so on. So please segment your target audience, adapt your messages, adapt your promotion techniques, and so on.
Okay, and I see a couple of questions in the chat. So guys, I think if there will be any kind of questions with a voice, those questions will have a priority. So whoever wants to ask a question with voice, please unmute yourself and go for it. But for now, we have two questions in the chat. Did you ever work with agencies?
Agencies. I think nope.
All right.
I think no.
Uh,
Sometimes I think that, look, there are cases when you have to work with agencies. That's when you are scaling. Because if you want to scale your promotional efforts, quite often it is impossible to use your team only. So it is impossible to do that in-house only. But first, you need to educate your team how to work without agencies. So which means that every member of your team must know how to do it on themselves. And only after that, you can use agencies when you are scaling. I think that we tried a couple, in trial mode or something like that. But I would say, approach is that we should keep business critical competencies in-house. So that's why we are mostly doing all this stuff I'm showing with our hands.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed when seeing all those founders coming after bootcamps, hackathons, that most of the founders, at least in the Tons ecosystem, are very technical. I mean, sometimes people even over-engineer the things, but don't have enough skills in terms of marketing, in terms of anything else that doesn't relate to development and engineering.
But the problem is that you need to have your marketing team, or at least a marketing guy, let's say just one guy, but who is marketing generalist. Because if you don't have this guy in your team and then you hire an agency, you'll just burn your money because you don't know how to control them. You don't know how to measure their efficiency and effectiveness. So you have to have at least one marketing guy in your team. Okay.
Yeah, the same rule would apply for any kind of marketer, kind of founder who has no experience in development. And the next question comes from the same person. Have you ever worked with KOLs?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so if that's just a short question, which requires a short answer, if you
Uh,
have anything to clarify.
Not much to say about that, but yeah, we worked with them. You need to work with them. You need to maintain good relations. There are different techniques, but basically you should be friends with them. And yeah, of course we're doing that. But I would say probably there are no silver bullets over here. So there is nothing to share actually. So yes, you need to find them. Yes, you need to talk to them, and um, you want to be their friends, or you want them to be your friends, something like that. But the thing is
Hmm.
that every KOL is different. So that's the point. So that's why there is no universal rule or no universal approach or no silver bullet over here.
All right. So yeah, if you have something to elaborate on your question, please complete your question in the chat if you want to ask about KOLs, something specific. And I also copied some of the questions coming from the YouTube's live chat. I just inserted this copy of the text in the Zoom's chat as well so that it's visible to you. The question says, could you please tell us what is the most valuable marketing channel like SEO, SEM, social media?
Again, I believe that for the projects that are just like in the beginning or something like that, they need to start with the community. Yes, you need to produce content for SEO because quite often, so SEO it takes time, and the thing is, what I usually see, people say it'll take time, which means that we don't need that you should start doing it today. So, and what is content and SEO? You launch some kind of a blog, just use WordPress, it's free of charge. Then you write articles. Now it's easy because we have LLMs, right? We can write them using LLMs, but do it wisely. At least audit them again using the same LLMs in order that your articles don't look like they were AI generated. It is possible. Then you post them on your blog and you start with a technical audit. That's what there are products for that. There are freelancers that can do that, but you want your blog to be technically optimized, and then you just post your content over there. So I would say that community, building community, and when you say social media, I think it is connected to community nowadays, and then content and SEO. These are the most valuable channels, at least in the beginning. So the question about widgets, that's true. We don't have it yet, but we are building that, and I know that we should do that, and we will have it soon.
Yeah, and 1 week ago we had a wonderful session with Ethan and
Yeah.
David. And yeah, if you guys want to learn more about Omnistone kind of things, please refer to that recording, which is also available on our YouTube channel. Ethan and David are the rails of StoneFi.
Yep.
And okay, so I don't see any other questions. So let's give it just a chance to see if we have something else to ask. If you guys have any questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions, or just want to discuss your cases, your marketing kind of cases, use cases, what are you experiencing right now? Please feel free to share, feel free to ask, feel free to describe, and would be very happy to have a conversation on that. And yeah, those of you who are watching this video as a recording on our YouTube channel, in order to get connected with us, make sure to apply for the Tonest program. I will add the links in the video description right after this session ends. And you can also always refer to StoneFi's communities, which are always very active, and you can also find them in different languages as well. And yeah, feel free to join the Tonest or StoneFi communities on Telegram and ask any question. So, and it seems like there is no questions so far. Yeah, but overall the session was, yeah, I see a question from William. How would you address the matter if someone brings up the topic of TVL or other finance-based questions in marketing?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. So when someone asks about any financial metrics like TVL and so on, we just provide an answer. Well, first of all, it's blockchain. I mean, it's transparent, and TVL, we actually you can see it in our application and on any DEX screener, data aggregator, and so on. So it's like it's an open data. And some other finance based, of course, we never answer like the questions about our budgeting, but I don't. No one actually asks these questions. But speaking about all the on-chain data like TVL, swap volumes, something like that, this data is open, so we answer these questions. And by the way, they can just check them on these third-party resources.
Yeah, William, if you have something to elaborate on your question, please. If no, I will just count that as answered.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. William gives a thumbs up, and it seems like now the question
Thank you,
is
William.
the question is clear. All right, then. Thank you everyone for joining. It's been almost 1 hour since we started. And thank you so much, Andrei, for sharing your knowledge, giving such a great presentation and answering all that questions. We'll be very happy to share any of the updates that StoneFi has for the Nest members. And yeah, once again, thank you. And thank you everyone who joined live. Thank you everyone who is watching this as a recording. Please stay tuned for the updates. Next week, we'll be having another workshop about on the topic of investor outreach. We'll explain how to reach out to VC funds, to investors, and we'll be also having a builders call probably about Gamify. Okay, then. Thank you once again. Thank you, Andrei. I hope you enjoyed
Thank
it.
you, Alec. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
And yeah, bye-bye, everyone.